And here we go. What is up, Sandshark fam? We are back for the final episode of the Sandshark Rewind for the 2023-24 academic year. And guys, it's been one hell of a year for us. Wes, you've been with us all year long. Max, you joined us there midway through the spring. But it's been great. As far as we know, we're going to make it through year 2 of the transition, and then hopefully get into the final stage of the provisional stage. We'll find out in July. So that's big news going on. But first off, how are you guys doing? It's been a couple weeks since we last did an episode.
I'm doing well. Great to talk with you one last time here in the 23-24 school year as we wrap things up. It's been a really fun year to be a part of it. I mean, so many tremendous improvements from what we do and from what you did in your first year as SID here. And then just the addition of basketball really made this year even more special in the winter, but another strong women's soccer season, cross country and track both showing out, and then baseball and softball continue to make strides in tough Peach Belt. So a lot to be proud of, a lot to be happy about when you look back, and excited to recount all the memories that were made over this year. And just a really fun time to be a Sandshark, and I really enjoyed every part of it and all that I got to do to help you guys out this year. And Max, I know you joined a little later on during the spring, but you were in the midst from what we were seeing going on in that fall and winter sports season as well. So what's your take on what you witnessed, and how cool is it to be a part of, for the first time, calling some baseball and softball games this year?
Yeah, I mean, overall, this season, I've paid attention to all the sports throughout the year before I hopped on, and it was a really successful year, and I do believe we'll get that third professional year. I really believe that. And going on, what my first season of doing baseball and softball games, it was a blast. Forget how the seasons ended for both teams. It was a blast just to do it, and just to be a part of it with, Brackin and Wes and all the rest of the volunteers we had from USCB. And it was a great time. I always had fun doing it. We had some great moments, some cool walk-off moments on the field, including my first game, my first softball game, a really, really cool walk-off moment to start out my time being a sports broadcaster and a commentator on USCB softball and baseball games. But, overall, I had a great time. We had a really successful year. First year for USCB basketball. I mean, what a more special year it could be for USCB, and it's going to be so much more special next year.
Yeah, it's just been great. There's plenty of moments. I'm sure, Wes, you've been around for, a couple years now. I believe you said that this was your first full year of kids.
4 years to see the whole class, yeah.
Right. So
that's class since they were freshmen.
Yeah. I mean, it's been tremendous. And I always had my foot in the door a little bit, as Quinn would say, that he graduated 10 years ago, but he never really left. And that's kind of the way I enjoyed it. I took some time off away and then really watched from afar there for the last couple of years before really picking it back up in 2022. So I'm just thankful to be back and watching the transition happen. And it's part of you guys that helped make this transition happen. So thank you guys for all the hard work you've done this season. And but yeah, man, just because the 2023-24 season's over doesn't mean the 24-25 isn't rolling around a lot quicker than we get going. So but let's kind of cap off what a great year. Wes, you were at every soccer game with me this year, every home game, and if you could pick one moment out of all of those that happened this year, give me one. What do you think?
It would have to be the dramatic Calvatin winner against Aiken, the 1-0 victory at home.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That pretty easy choice for me. That was a dramatic win at Finland Field, and to see a legend put that finishing touches on in Calvatin in the 90th minute. The 90th minute, with 33 seconds to go, from a beautiful ball from Beltestad to set it up. I mean, that's the cool moments that you remember when you see. We had a lot of those, not soccer, but baseball, softball as well. But that definitely stood out to me, and that was a hard-fought game. I mean, it was a defensive affair until the end, and the back line did their job. Aaliyah White was sensational, and so were her teammates back there. And it was neck and neck. I mean, both teams had Sand Sharks had 16 shots, 12 on goal. They couldn't find one put in the back of that until the very end, and just a heck of a battle out there against a rival. USC and USCB, we expect to see a lot more of those in the future, but huge win, not just being able to do it in dramatic fashion, but that was an important victory as they were able to get to the Peach Belt Conference tournament. So, I mean, huge 3 points that they're able to get at home, and had a lot of fun calling that one.
Yeah. And I don't want to forget about our friend Alex Long, who was on the call with you earlier this season. I hope Alex is doing well. But yeah, that was probably an epic. I mean, that was probably one of the most dramatic game enders I've seen.
That's as late as you can get. I mean,
yeah,
pretty much
your final minute. Yeah. There was a couple other for me. Obviously, Sin by Anderson's game winner against Georgia Southwestern on Senior Day. That was that one wasn't as dramatic, but that was the one that punched the ticket to as the number 5 seed into the conference tournament. But also a couple of really big epic goals that happened on the road. That I know you guys watched a little bit. Savannah Page's game-tying header in the conference tournament at Lander. That was great. And she also did another thing. We were out at another one. We were out in Hardyville, and we weren't streaming the game. It was against Erskine, and we've dubbed the game against Erskine the Erskine Curse, because every time we've played them at home, I don't know if we've ever played them on the road, I don't think. But every time we've played them at home, it has been pouring down rain. And this time we did not play at Finland. Wes, I know you remember that one back in 22 where it was absolutely the field wasn't playable. Let's just be honest. But they played out at the turf field in Hardyville, and Sav had a complete full-on bicycle kick. I can't remember who put it up, but she had her one heck of a goal there. Adrian Skelton picked up her first career goal that day, and then Mari scored 48 and 49, and then she capped it off with 50 the next week.
I'm going to call for that one.
Albany State. So we got to say goodbye to Mari earlier this week. She came by the office. She leaves in just a few days. She'll be heading back to Norway. Hoping to get to say bye one more time, but if not, love Mari. And one day she'll be in the Sand Shark Hall of Fame. First ballot, no doubter. And she is the Jane T. Upshaw award winner, the 2024 Jane T. Upshaw award winner. So that in its own right is its own, number one, I feel like. But a great year for soccer, 13-4-1, and
Calvatin finishes with 56 goals. Number one. Speaking of who number 2 is on the list, a kind of cool tie-in here. Haley Pena, who is number 2 with 35, was a head coach or a coach for the John Paul II Golden Warriors girls soccer team, who just played in the state championship today and lost Hilton Med Prep in a nail-biter 1-0. But great to see her continuing to be in the Low Country and excelling at the coaching ranks. Just want to give her a shout-out for the amazing work that she did with the JP2 team, getting to skis a 3A state championship this year.
Yeah, I worked with Haley a little bit when I was over at JP2, so it was cool. There's a couple of Sand Sharks over there. Jamie Roberts also. That's a great segue into cross country. I don't believe Jamie's there anymore, but she was running the cross country and track and field team over there. And but speaking of cross country, the Sand Shark Invitational is making its comeback in 2024. The 5K and 8K race map has already been released. Coach Harris put that out on social media, and then we're going to go out there this summer and get some pictures and video and all that kind of stuff so that we can get ready. October 12th, mark your calendars,
yes,
so that we can have some coverage out there, and it's going to be a great race. Previously, we had over 30 teams come to this race, so hopefully we'll be able to do the same and really build up Coach Harris's first real. I don't want to say we had a couple dual matches against Savannah State earlier in the year, but the first full where teams are coming and staying, and that's a testament to Coach Kimball coming back and being a part of this team and really getting. And he's going to be volunteering with that. We're looking for a full-time assistant coach for her, who's going to really help with the distance and Coach Kimball and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be a great year for cross country. Jacob Mitchell was, again, the man, had three individual wins, and Sydney Stevenson led the way for the women's squad. So looking forward to seeing. There's a lot of hype going around this cross country and track and field team coming up, and that's going to be really exciting moving forward. And then we'll talk golf in the spring. Talk golf with the spring sports because their competition season's more in the spring. But then we transitioned, man. We went into crossover season for the first time with winter in November. So Wes, you went straight from calling soccer games to being behind the scorers table at basketball. What was that first game for you? What do you remember against Morris?
I remember it really well. That was something special. There was a ton of magic in that building on that Saturday when we faced off against Morris for the very first men's and women's basketball games, and it was an electric show in the Cove, as we began to call it. Mm-hmm. And my God, the students brought it. The fans. It was packed and just incredible atmosphere in that first game for both the men's and women's teams, and they brought it from the start. They were ready to go and just set the tone for what ended up being an incredible first year. Obviously, we wish the results in the conference could have turned out better, but we had both of the freshmen of the year at the end of it, which was a testament to how well these teams played right out of the gates, and just so much fun to be a part of that and to work at the table. And obviously those first few games were fun, especially the Morris game. But then once you got into conference play, oh my God! I mean, every game was an absolute nail biter.
Especially at home.
Yeah,
at home it was unreal.
I mean, it seemed like every game came down to the wire, and it was a ton of fun to be a part of. We were able to pull out a couple of big ones. I remember the women getting a couple of huge victories. I think one that really stands out was the last one at home against Flagler, where I believe they were trailing and had to come back late and then hit a couple of big free throws at the end to seal it. But I just remember that one really well. It was a great capper for the women to win that one, because that was a pretty solid Flagler team that they were playing, and just to rally from behind when it looked like they were going to let it slip away right at the end there, because they were down 2 points, and then Madison Self had the game-tying layup, and then Primo hit the 2 free throws to win it with 1 second left. So that one certainly stands out to me. And then on the men's side, I mean, it has to be that 4 overtime game, right? That was absolutely.
I don't know. That was an epic game, but I'm also tend to say the Augusta game, the first conference game.
Well, that's a good choice.
I mean, both points or both games we scored over 100 points, and Yeah, I mean that first day, Wes, I don't know if I don't know if I got to tell you this one. So Donald was with us a lot of the time at the scorers
Right.
table. He was the one
Yep.
statting, and you were calling for him.
Yep.
Donald was not the original guy who was supposed to stat the first game against Morris. I got a call from our scheduler. It's a fun little behind the scenes story. I got a call from our scheduler about 7:30 that morning and said, "Hey man, you're the guy who has it, who's supposed to do your game, literally is like in the hospital right now." And I'm like, "What? What do we do?" And he's like, "I'm calling everybody. Don't worry, we're gonna get it figured out." And I was sweating bullets. I was already at the school trying to get everything ready, and I swear it was the most stressful 2.5, 3 hours before I finally got a call that Donald was going to take care of it for us. And Donald became an integral part of the team. So it looks like Wes is taking a quick break real quick. So
Yep, left the room.
just saw that real quick. We're like, oh, there you went. So
goodbye.
yeah. But Max, you said you watched it, that you were watching games. What do you remember? On the women's side, for me, it's going to be the 65, avenging the 65-point loss to North Georgia.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, there he is. I think that Augusta game is probably the one for me. There were so many moments that you could basically choose from for this season, because it's a first of many. Obviously, a first of everything. First home basketball game, first game in general. I mean, you got so many to choose from, and it's tough. But man, I would have to go with. I think no. I think I'd have to go with that last game against Flagler, where they were down pretty heavily, down, and came all the way back, and ended up taking what was we thought a blowout, and made it into something special to cap the season off. So I would have to go with that game. For me, that was the one game, and I was able to make it to watch the last men's basketball game at home right before the Skiza 3A state championship for women's basketball was coming up right after. So I got to make it out to that final game. And, despite the loss, I was like, wow, this team has really got something really special put together. And I can't, I said to myself, I can't wait to get out to more games next season, because I saw how special this team could very much so be.
Yeah, the foundation was laid. Rod Vidala, man, I really enjoyed interacting with him because he has limitless energy out there on the court. And just, really enjoyed being a part of seeing him write this first chapter of Sand Shark men's basketball, because in my opinion, he was absolutely the guy that needed to kickstart this program. I mean, you need the energy, the dynamic play that he preaches, and such a fun team to watch. I mean, they were full throttle, love to put up points, but a scrappy team as well. They could beat you in a couple different ways, and they kept it close against the best teams in the conference. A couple of tough ones that got away from them, but they were against really good teams. And if a couple more go your way, maybe you sneak in to the dance in the Peach Belt. But all in all, you got to be really happy with what this team did to lay that year one foundation. Certainly, unfortunately, you're losing some key pieces, but at the same time, you're going to be bringing in some solid guys that could be at an even higher caliber than what we had this year, which is a really exciting thing. Sure, the transfer portal exists and you lose guys a regular basis, but I think from what you've seen on that first year, we're going to attract some outstanding talent and guys really make a name of themselves, or contribute to this program that has limitless potential in Division II Peach Belt Conference. So I think the caliber of players is just going to continue to rise these next few years under Fidala.
Yeah. We've lost a few players to the portal. Obviously, Marcus entered the portal. That was the reigning freshman of the year. We did get word that Larry Bullock has entered the portal as well. And Ryan Iapolo has found his place. He was looking to go closer to home. It was when you come down from a spot, you know, a lot of Pennsylvania talent came down here with Shea Champagne, Kevon Price, Kyle Pulse, you know, a lot of those guys, you know, a little bit, you know, north of the Mason-Dixon line. So that's a long way home. Speaking from experience, being up in that Pennsylvania area, but we've got 3 guys who have already signed with us. Really looking forward. Dom, seen some of his highlights. He's going to be a big impact player. Got another big man from USC Upstate, Pat. I don't know how to say his last name, so I'll have to ask him that in August. And then Caden Douglas, he's coming in as well. We've had quite a few kids here on campus this past week while I was out on vacation. So it's really great. And then on the women's side, we've got 4 solid athletes that we've added. We just added another one, Ashley Forner. She's coming out from Michigan. She's going to make an impact. She's you know, from what I was told, that she's had a couple of some offers from D1 schools, but this is where she wanted to be. She wants to be here at USCB, and that's huge. And then you get local kid, Brianna Polite from Woodville Tompkins, who was teammates with Janiah Hayward, Audra Hillman from North Carolina, who's another big, and then Ellie Lewis.
On top of that, you get Lydia Gattusi, who missed all this past year.
Yeah, so you get a full year of Lydia, and
Yep.
you get a full year of Sheridan. So you've got four seniors on the team, 1 super senior who you're going to have to, you know, who you're bringing in. But these kids right here are who your core is going forward. And you know, I originally thought when I was like first, before Sharon, Coach Versap had told me who the roster was, I was thinking maybe 15, 16 kids originally. And then we had 12, and I was like, whoa, all right. But those are the kids who are putting in the work. Ella Coffey, Madison Self, Kmar Griffin, all those kids who got valuable minutes this year because of the injuries to Gattusi and Bostic. I can say I've seen Lydia already in the gym taking shots up, and she's trying to get her groove back. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm just really excited to see where that team goes. The Peach Belt has had a lot of turnover over the last couple of months with, you know, defending champ Georgia Southwestern's coach getting hired over at Georgia Southern. A lot of players entered the portal. The Southern Conference has seemed to be picking up a lot of Peach Belt players. Mercer has picked up a couple of men's basketball players in terms of, you know, Marcus, and then what's his name from North Georgia? Frank. What's his name? I can't remember his last name, but he got picked up by Chattanooga, UT Chat. So, you know, right now you look at it, that conference is wide open on both sides, I think. And if you find the right determination of players, you know, however it's going to go, it's going to be a lot of fun. And I can't wait to see what both teams have in store. I know that Ron's got some magic up his sleeve on getting some more kids here. So yeah, it's going to be exciting.
I think year 2 is going to be a huge leap forward, I think, for both, but especially you look on the women's side with, you know, Lydia having that first full year and then those additions that you mentioned. And despite being, you know, held to a small lineup with unfortunately injuries and other you know, situations throughout the year, this team overperformed and outperformed their expectations, in my opinion. With the way they put it on the floor, with the way they showed themselves out there on the floor every night, and it was really exciting, especially the growth. I mean, have you ever seen a turnaround against the same opponent that we saw this year? In
you talking
one,
about the North Georgia game?
yes,
Yes.
103-38, January
Absolutely
20th. You come back and you beat them 66-59. I mean, that is unheard of.
Yeah.
That kind of turnaround.
And I think that also comes into play how difficult it is to play in the Cove. That, I mean, let's call it an arena. Like, that's our arena. That's where our home is, for the foreseeable future. And it's growing, not in terms of capacity, but you get 650 people in there. It's packed. Max, you know how packed it was during the state championship game.
Oh my God, yes.
Wes,
Yeah.
I don't know if you were there too.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, he was.
You know, both of you.
Yeah,
I remember coming back to campus after the baseball game to write up everything, and we're having to kick people out. Like, they're all hanging out on the floor and all that kind of stuff. So it was, but that you get inside, that's tight. You're close to the floor. I mean, Wes, we have that little area in between the bleachers right there in the back, and that's about as far as we can kind of get to get some freedom, unless you're going to the offices, just because there's just not that much space in there. And when you're right on top of the players, I think that gives everybody a little bit of, man, I don't know what's going on. So
yeah, I realized how hard it is to play in that arena during the state championship game, because it was packed and it was loud in there, and those voices echo in that room. It makes it even tougher to play. So yeah, I can understand why there are a lot of teams
I'm
who have
not
difficulty. Yeah,
I'm not a physics person, but like the noise effects and the reverb, whatever, in the arena, as we can call it. I think that has an impact. It seems loud, really loud in there, and you give credit to the fans and students for always bringing it. I mean, terrific support all year long from student sections, and just awesome to see the level of support that we were able to witness throughout this year. It was a ton of fun. Really brought this campus together in a way we haven't seen yet, and I think it's only going to grow. I mean, just having that caliber of talents and just knowing that basketball is here to stay, and having that marquee sport in terms of I mean, basketball brings extra legitimacy when you have a team, that you have two teams, men's and women's, and I think that's going to go a long way to really further grow this athletic program. And you couldn't have asked for a better first year. Maybe a few more wins, but just the entire presentation on the courts, and the excitement from the community and everybody who came out to support, whether it was on campus, whether it was across the Low Country at large. I remember just seeing so many people who came to these games from everywhere. I mean, and the talk was spreading. Like, I mean, these games, the word of mouth is important, and it seemed like as we went throughout the year, more fans, more people started to go to these games, and it's great to see that level of support. And I think it's only going to skyrocket here. But yeah, that's a really cool aspect about it. It's just that incredible support from the fans and everybody here in the Low Country, just to rally around and embrace these teams, because they play a fun brand of basketball. And the other thing that does, how important is it for the youth of the area, for the high schools, the middle schools, the kids, to see their basketball program right in their hometown, right in the community? And I think that could do wonders, just for both sides of it, for the schools in terms of the youth, but also just for the college, and to see these high schools, these teams from around the area show their support. And I think that makes a big difference. And it really is exciting for me, especially, seeing some players that are familiar, that have been on not just basketball or women's, men's basketball, but also some other teams as well throughout the USCB athletic landscape. So I mean, all in all, a tremendous first year, and one that I'm just really appreciative to be a part of. And I'm already getting pumped, counting down the days till we do it again in November.
Yeah. I'm super excited for it, and just super excited to see how everything goes. We have a year under our belt now, so we know what's going to work. Wes, I can already tell you that we're going to spread you out a little bit further on the scores table, a little bit, give everybody some room. We had that extra little space getting out there, so we're probably going to move music around a little bit, try to get everybody set up perfectly for their spot. I believe you and Donald and who's ever at the scorers table will probably remain right there, but you'll have a little bit more room to work with. But it's going to be exciting. We're really going to be doing big things, and I can't thank our volunteer staff, a lot of it from Sun City. Sue and Alan, who they did great jobs on the PA. And then Bruce Summers, also, who kept the book. Beth Patrick, who just announced her retirement, also helped keep the book. So I look forward to seeing them back. Dawn Stevens, who helped run the scoreboard, Holly Meckley and John Meckley, both running the shot clock and the game clock. I mean, it was it was a full team effort, and all of them coming, except for Don from Sun City. Just huge help from them to be there. And then it's only going to get better as we progress. But yeah, then we had that epic crossover season with we thought the crossover was a little bit, going from fall to winter. We had probably a week and a half, a week or so before soccer was done to get ready for basketball. But man, we hit the full fledged there at the end of January, right at the beginning of February, with basketball and baseball and softball starting. I believe we went Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah, that first week of February was
week, yeah. February. Or no, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah, we opened with softball on Thursday. No, we did. No, that's right. We did have basketball that Wednesday because they were on the road.
Yeah.
Or they were. I can't remember now.
We were at home that weekend.
That's right. They were at home. Yeah. So we went Wednesday basketball, Thursday softball opening day, Friday baseball, softball, Saturday triple header or quadruple header, baseball, softball, men and women's basketball. That was, oh man, that was against Clayton State. I'll remember that one. Yeah. So a tremendous year overall in the spring. I know we really talked heavy on the spring because that was kind of where we really picked this up, doing this every week. But golf, man, I'm super excited for golf. I kind of like to dig into the sport whenever I'm working on the record book, and I'm doing that for golf right now, and kind of just seeing the history for the years that I was gone and the years that I was here. I didn't, I asked Coach Corey Cottrell a lot of questions, and Sam, assistant coach Sam, and I asked them all types of questions because I just don't know. I didn't even know about a drop score for the longest time until this year, just learning about what happens and how much fun like the Old Field Intercollegiate and the Old Field Classic are. Just a lot of fun tournaments around here. Thankfully, the girls will be here most of the spring. Their competitive season will be here. Most of their tournaments will be here in the Low Country. A lot of them out at Hilton Head. And they've got a big class coming in too. You only graduate one senior with Ashley Mead, and then the guys graduate quite a few with Jonas DeMont, Christoph Hagenauer, Kaylin Sammy, Skylar Sicoli. Who else am I forgetting? Four. I think it was four. I'd have to go back and look, but I think it was 4 seniors that you're graduating. But then you're bringing in another kid from the UK who has played with Ellis, and you've got your group right there with Ellis Bright, Nico Holm, and on the women's side you've got Jess Edwards, who will be a senior, and you've got McLean Neal, who those two are going to be your anchors.
It was Jonas DeMint, Christoph Hagenauer, Kaylin Sammy, and Skylar Sicoli were your seniors
Those were the 4. Okay.
The 4 seniors.
Yeah. How about a shout out to our class of 2024? We had over 30 seniors graduate this year.
Wow.
Which is, awesome. To see and to recount their contributions, and really special for them because a lot of those graduated high school in 2020, and with the whole COVID situation, they weren't really able to have a normal graduation. So just great to see that across the country because that definitely means a lot more in a year like that. So just wanted to say that. Yeah, but what a job that this class did. You look across the board, and so many key men and women who have made their mark on USB athletics for the lasting years to come. And you look back on a bunch of those. We didn't have many on the softball side, but there are a lot of them were very impactful. I'm talking about Devin Weller, J.C. Coleman, Zaniah Hampleton. Man, how cool was it to see Hampleton get in there that last senior weekend? That was
great.
That was awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I remember the early morning workouts where they were getting some time in, and Z was always there, and she was working her butt off trying to get back. And I wish that she would have gotten a couple times to maybe get out there and get some more time. And but it was great to see her get out in the field. Got a couple of really good pictures of her out there. Just she's got that big, beautiful smile, and so it's great to see that. J.C. Coleman had a heck of a year. Had her first 2 home runs, and those were one of. And the funny thing is that we've talked about both of them a little bit. But her first one hit off the top of the fence. Or no, that was the second one. Her first one hit off the center fielder's glove. And then her second one hit off the top of the fence. So she hit the shortest home run that you can actually.
It counts, no matter if it's
it counts no matter what.
Right. The same in the stat sheet.
Yeah, it's a home run no matter what. It may not be Acuna's 461 blast to center field like last night, but man, those are just fun, and you're so happy for them. And the thing is, a lot of the players are already back in the gym doing work. I saw Darren Miller in there earlier this week getting some work in. The season doesn't stop. There's no off season. You take some time off from throwing, and but you're always hitting. Conditioning and getting stronger and getting bigger. In terms of just getting strength. And we've talked about it before. We've got a big class coming in for softball, so I'm really excited for that. Keeping it in the family, bringing Addie Reynolds' sister in. I swear.
Yeah.
So keeping that in play. And then we've got some records to look out for next year. Addie, if she has a good power year, which she had a decent one year this year, she tied for the team lead in home runs with 6. But she can move second all time into the home run list.
Wow.
And that list, like I said, it was, I kind of dig into the history, but I was a part of the history early on with softball when they started.
Not sure if you added it to the record book that's on here yet. You did?
Yep. That is current.
Yeah. So she's up to 21. She's 3 behind Maddie Bird in second. So that's definitely reachable when you look at
easily.
I'd expect her to have a great chance of doing that.
Yeah. And I think I told you both about that one of those home runs that Maddie hit. I think it was either 2013 or 14, where that ball was literally heading, still going up on that right field light post at right center field. We had a great duo of Maddie Bird and Taylor Triplett, who you could interchange them at first base and DP, and they supplied a lot of your power. And Wes, I think if you still have the record book up, they're probably 2 and 3 or 2 and 4.
Yeah, Bird's 2 and then Triplets 4. They're just 2 apart in the home run too.
and Mariah Sanborn leads the way with 35. Yeah. So
that was a heck of a time for USCB softball, early 2010s. Tremendous hitters.
Yeah, that 2012 season, man. We had one of the most prolific offenses, and I mean, you've got to. We've said it before. You got to play the teams that you don't know how you're going to stack up against, but when you put up 60 plus runs in 2 games, that's yeah. Those first, we won those first 2 games, and then we played 4 games against Fisher College, and I'd have to go back and look, but back-to-back perfect games from Christy Cook and Caroline Pastor. So those were 2 epic times.
Yeah.
I see on social media where people are talking about perfect games in softball, and I was like, well, I saw 2 of them back to back. It's hard when some of the stats go away, but they're there. So
speaking of moments, I mean, there's a couple of from softball, but the Devin Weller walk-off homer
against Columbus State.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of cake for me. That was
that's the moment.
They were down 6-0 in that game. They scored 5 in the 6th, and then those 3 in the 7th. That was a tremendous comeback, and it took everybody to kind of accomplish what they had do in their role, but they were able to take advantage of a couple of errors to get themselves with a chance to rally, and then Goodwin and Darren Miller, I think, had a heck of an extra base hit to set it up in that 7th inning triple. And then Goodwin fly out to center, Coleman single, and then the Weller home run. That was fun.
Yeah.
I think.
Go ahead, Max.
Yeah, I think for me, my favorite moment was probably the first game I did. The first game I was on air with West for was that Lander game against Lander.
Walk-off hit by pitch.
An offensive onslaught by both teams, winning 11-10, and the walk-off hit by pitch to finish the game off, which is one of the weirder ways to finish a game. But
crazy.
I was like, man, does this happen often? I should come back more often. And sure enough,
that was when Eddie Reynolds had that monster weekend as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Player of the week, one player of the week for time out there.
He was on fire. I was like, wow. Yeah, that's probably my favorite moment from softball. Was that first game? Me getting on, having no idea what I was doing. And just watching what was one heck of a game, and I will remember that game forever because it was just so special for me. So that's probably the highlight of the softball year for me.
I'm gonna go to the opposite side. I'm gonna go to the rubber inside the circle and go Sierra Kinlaw, man. I've watched a lot of college softball over the last 12 years. And that moment against Coker, and it's just celebrating the little things. C had 97 strikeouts last year. And she's already up there on the all-time list in terms of all-time strikeouts. But she that was something really special when she struck out her 100th batter of the season, and then she was able to strike out her 200th batter of the year of her career. Because that's a pretty big number.
Yeah.
And especially coming, she transferred to USCB in January of 2023. So she didn't even get a full season with them last year when she was, still anchoring that staff last year as well. So I look forward to bringing in, where they can get a couple of, having a couple of arms, because I think down the stretch we saw that we knew that we had to rely on Sierra for 2 games, and that was kind of like, okay, if they could beat her in 1 game, or if she beat them in 1, it was going to be a little bit more difficult in game 2 or game 3. So, but then on the baseball side, man, that was,
oh my God.
I mean, which walk-off do we want to talk about?
Oh, that's the one.
So guys, what do you want to talk about?
I think it's
all of them.
I think it has to be Nico. Like that, get them a fighting chance against USCA. Can walk off against Flagler?
Yeah,
that was my highlight of the year. Was us coming all the way back from being down 4 and 5 runs in the ninth inning to win the game and go into USCA again with a fighting chance. Only needed to win 2 out of 3, and then they fought to the very last game, and obviously it didn't go the way they wanted the season to finish, but they fought till the very last game, and that last game could have determined if your season continued or ended, and it ended up finishing their season. But oh my gosh, what a way to fight to the end. That game against Flagler was my highlight, because I was like, wow, they have a fighting chance now of making the playoffs, and
I think we both thought that when we went down 8-4, it was lights out in my opinion. But and then they started the rally with 1 out because Weathers fly to center, and then 4 hits in a row. Seth Robinson drew the walk, and then the bases clearing double by Andre to win the game. Just a beautiful rope to right center field, exactly what you want to do it. He was looked for the perfect pitch that he wanted and just got all of it and drove it to the outfield. And great to see that from him. That was a pinch hit, walk-off hit as well. Talk about the trust that you have in a guy to come in with basically your season on the line, because you'd have to win 3 in a row, which would be tough to do. And give credit to – it was a different looking lineup in that last game too. Obviously there were some injuries throughout the lineup, but talk about those guys stepping up, in that finale of that series. Tyler Kennedy, Matt Cromer, Gage Kirkland, Seth Robinson all coming up big, keeping the line moving, and then just the magic off the bat of Nico Andre. But just a joy to be a part of that. Fun to be on the call for with you, Max, and one of those moments that you'll remember. And even though they didn't find a way to get that last playoff spot, it gives you a sense that this team has, possibilities and to do even bigger things. And I'm really optimistic, despite losing a good number of seniors, 11 guys who have been instrumental to this program. And so that's when you lose 11 seniors, that's always tough. But like I said, every team loses guys, and now you just look to some of your younger players to find that extra sparks moving forward, and to bring in some players, some complementary pieces that you need. But I just love the way this team, and I think Ted Faulkner's teams have done that for a number of years, just the way they scrap and battle and fight and pull off some crazy comebacks, never out of a game. And we've seen that in the past, and we see it again this year, and that's always fun. But and an excellent effort as well when you look back at that game for a couple of guys, especially my boy, my Lowco guy, Josh Patterson.
That game he pitched, that final game, that game 3 against Flagler was great. But four walk-off wins. The first one against Georgia Southwestern was a walk-off walk.
About to mention that one, yeah.
That was a good. Hey, you won the game, so great. But and then Julian Galassi has two walk-off.
Yeah.
Walk-off hero, Mr. Galassi. Yeah. And then Nico's 3-run double there in the final game of the season. I think we knew after kind of looking at the schedule, we played a very, very tough schedule all season long. There were no gimmies. Even the game against Edward Waters, where that's not even a gimme game. I don't mean that in a
gimme either. Although those are all games you should win, and they did.
Yeah. You played multiple ranked NCAA D2 opponents. That's difficult in and of itself. And the fact you won a series against the number 16 team in the country at the time was even more impressive. I think that was another highlight of the year, was winning a series against Georgia Southwestern earlier in the season. And I think, it showed that they know how to fight. They know how to play really well. And, they had their ups and downs this year, but I really liked the way I saw them fight to the very end and go to that last series with a fighting chance of making the Sun Belt Conference tournament.
They came so close.
Peach Belt Conference. Sorry, Peach Belt. My bad.
Yeah.
But if you go back and you look, after that series, Georgia College came in here and kind of kicked our teeth in. And I don't know if you guys have paid attention or not, but they just won the Peach Belt Conference championship.
Yes, I do.
yesterday.
That was a really solid team.
Yeah, they just had a two. It was yesterday and a 2-run walk-off homer to win the game
Wow.
against Flagler
Wow.
too.
Wow.
Crazy.
So, yeah, it's been a phenomenal year. 2023, 24 is going to be one that's always going to be remembered as, the year that we brought basketball to USCB. That's kind of going to be the headline. If you had to put a stamp on 23, 24, that's going to be your headline. But I mean, overall, you had such a tremendous year in every sport. You had ups, you had downs, you had triumphant comeback wins, and you had heartbreaking losses, including that, buzzer beater at Aiken. That one was heartbreaking.
Oh man.
But those are the moments that build a legacy. That's what we've said. You're building a legacy here, not only just for basketball, but you've established a legacy with softball and soccer and baseball, track and field, cross country. Shout out. I know you guys shouted out Martello and Cam on the lowdown while I was gone for those Peach Belt championships, and everybody did great. So I mean, I'm excited for this next year. Excited for a little bit of a break to kind of get caught up on everything and get all the record books caught up and get bios updated and just stuff like that. That's what really where you build up and you kind of and retool and get ready for the fall. We've got a great staff coming back for this year.
By the way, shout out to your incredible student workers, your team of student workers. What an unbelievable job they did here. I'm just so thankful for all of them. Really appreciate working with all of them this year. They all did an outstanding job.
Yeah. I want to give a big shout out to my big three. And that is Abby Hunsinger, Aaliyah Newman, and Ashton McNair. We were able to honor them at the banquet, and I can honestly say this, that we would not have the product that we've been able to put together without their input. Aaliyah's been with me since I started back helping out last year. Abby came in right before basketball season started, and she helped with softball media day. That was back in September before she really came on as a student worker. And then Ashton came on right as basketball season came in and just like turned our social media up 10 notches. And without those three, we would not have been where we are now as we continue to gain popularity on social media. I do have some little heartbreaking news. I don't know if you guys have seen it on social media, but we are losing Abby. I don't want to say losing. She has been accepted to USC, and she will be joining Gamecock Creative up there this fall. So I'm so proud of her. I'm proud of all three of them, but I know Abby's dream has always been to go to South Carolina, and she has done a tremendous job. And so she is going to do big things there. But she'll always have a place here down at Lowco. But I've got something queued up, ready to go before we call it a season, call it a year. But final thoughts, Max, give me your final thoughts for 23-24.
Incredible year. Just a year of firsts, first basketball seasons for both women's and men's basketball. My first time getting to do commentary with both Wes and Brackin. I got to do a game with you, Brackin, this year, and that was exciting to learn from someone who's been doing it for quite a while now. And it's for me, it's the first year that I've really put myself in that USCB fan mode. I haven't paid attention as much until this season. Once I started paying attention, I talked with Justin, and he got me into doing Lowco Sports and working with with Javon of Beaufortone, and then I get a call and saying, "Hey, they need someone to do some USCB softball games. Are you interested?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure, why not?" Having no idea what I was getting myself into, and I'm so glad I decided to join with you guys, and I've been so happy. And what an incredible season it's been for all USCB athletics. And I cannot wait to start in the fall with the 2024-2025 season.
Agree with you there, and I agree with you as well, Bracken, when I say that basketball was really the marquee story of this past athletic and academic year, because this was something that has been, eyed in many past calendar years at USCB, and that was the goal, to bring men's and women's basketball here to the Low Country and to see that vision in full display take shape in incredible fashion. That first game against Morris, and it just continued and heightened from game to game the rest of the year, and that really was what put this year in a category of one that we remember for a long while here at USCB and in the Low Country. I mean, I'll never forget the memories that I got to make that very first opening night or opening afternoon of men's and women's basketball. Just as I said, an electric atmosphere, and both teams came to play, both picking up inaugural dubs in that first Saturday game, and just everything about that is something you dream of. And it was a vision, from the executives here at USCB for a while, and to see it to fruition here, it was just really special, and just to be a big part of that on the scores table. I've had so many great memories covering sports in the Low Country, but that might be right near the top or at the top when I look back on it all. So that really was the defining moment of this school year. But there were so many others. I really enjoyed to see that soccer team progress. It was your growth. I think your first, but also your growth. And for baseball and softball, you saw that. I mean, this was the first year that they were only eligible for the conference tournament in the Peach Belt. Like last year, they were able to compete in the Continental Athletic Conference. This year, I mean, they had to earn it, and they came really close to getting that spot. And they grew up a lot this year. And despite falling short of that conference tournament, it was a year they really got better in. And you got to see some phenomenal standouts. We saw dramatic walk-offs. We saw the incredible pitching from Sierra Kinlaw on the softball side. Baseball, I mean, tremendous performance to battle their way to compete the last week. I mean, that's something that you don't see every time. I mean, to be able to have meaningful games up until that last day, to the last pitch of that baseball season, and so that was really fun. I was on pins and needles looking at the updates when I wasn't there. Obviously, it was at USC Aiken, but I was enjoying following that. And just so many incredible memories. Just really enjoy the opportunity to be on the call, starting with soccer, and then being able to announce games as well with Max. And had a great time with you, both on baseball and softball. You mentioned golf, cross country, making waves as well alongside track. We had a great season in the spring, outdoor in the winter, and then indoor in the winter, and then outdoor in the spring. I mean, it's full throttle what they do over there, and I love to see the way the program continues to be built. And then one last thing is I just want to give a shout out to Jay Harris and wish him all the best, because what a legacy that he's left behind as head coach of that soccer team. And excuse me, and he started with the interim role. It was quickly removed after that excellent first year, and from there, I mean, he leaves behind incredible memories and success, and has left this program in a much better spot than he found it in. And it kind of sets the tone for the potential that is next. And I think that's going to be the big story heading into the summer is the new coach hire for women's soccer. Just after all the tremendous last couple of years for Harris, and wish him all the best. What a great guy. I mean, he always came out of his way, whether it was at soccer games or even at the basketball games, or just, when I see him around the Low Country, he always stop to say hi. His kids are the sweetest and just a great guy, great motivator, and an extraordinary coach, and will be very much missed here at USCB in the Low Country. So huge props, congratulations to him, and we'll certainly miss him a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. You guys have used the word like firsts and growth. Mine's homecoming. This year has been a homecoming, not only for just, I guess just, for my sake, it was, last year I, was a part of it, but, kind of not really one foot in, one foot out, just, helping out as I could, with, being a full-time teacher at the time. And now we're at a spot where we've taken it to the next level. Everybody who's been in the chair before me with JJ and Mike and Mitchell, everybody has put their mark on this department, and we've grown each time. And that's all it is we take a combination of all of what we've done previously and grown it to what we can now. So it's a full-on great time to be a Sand Shark. And what I want to do here is I want to leave you guys and leave our fans with the final look of what the 2023-24 season was. So let me pull this. Let me get our.
How does that make you feel like to be a part of history?
Feel great.
Janiyah Hayward. Now Hayward in transition at the foul line, stops and pops, and she is red hot. Quick trigger from Hayward. Great look from Hayward.
Hayward in traffic.
Hayward with the
Count the basket. Now Hayward with the steal. Now stolen by Hayward with 10 seconds. Of the Lady Sand Sharks, led by Sharon Versip.
Together, we're going to build a product that the community's proud of and that's easy to cheer for.
And with that, you guys, we're going to officially wrap the 2023-24 season. So for Max Arraj, Wes Kerr, I'm Brackin Lambert. Thank you guys for joining us for a phenomenal year. And as always, keep those fins up. We'll see you next year.